Now I would like to welcome Ms. Josephine. Ms. Josephine is also a member of the Youth Leadership Institute, and she is going to introduce our keynote speaker.
Hi, my name is Josephine, and I'm 13 years old, and I will be introducing Ayema. At 17 years old, Ayema K. Owona is the youngest of four and considered to be the chief energy manager at home, where he liberally provides laughter and fun. Ayema is a recent graduate of the 3D Scholars Program at Charles H. Flowers High School, where he served as the ambassador of the Principal Action Council and is enrolled at Prince George's County Community College, studying cybersecurity. As a youth ambassador and public health activist, Ayema received the Governor's Citation. He is a two-time first-place recipient of the Veterans of Foreign Wars Voice of Democracy Award, and also serves in the Youth Leadership Council at First Baptist Church of Glenarden, where in 2023 he received an award for leadership. He also serves as a host for the pre- and post-worship experience for the First Baptist Church of Glenarden Online Campus. In spring 2024, Ayema traveled to Paris to be a part of an international youth leadership program. He was a two-time panelist for the Youth Mental Health and Faith-Based Initiative for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Ayema served as a keynote speaker at Columbia University for Youth Mental Health and Faith-Based Communities. He is a recipient of several school and community service awards. Ayema is an active member in the 13th Man and Manhood 101 mentorship programs, where the focus is character development, leadership, and service to the community. He is passionate about youth advocacy and youth mental health. To tackle the mental health crisis, he worked with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services on the Suicide Prevention and the Crisis Hotline 988-PSA. He served as a panelist for the White House's Black Youth Mental Health Convention in September 2024. Ayema is a published author of WordUp in Spite Of. Please give a warm welcome to Ayema.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. I am so honored to be here. It is an absolute blessing. First and foremost, we just thank God for the opportunity to have the voice and to have a community like this, to be able to engage with others and just have such an important conversation. I want to take a brief moment to thank Miss Angela for the opportunity, Miss Shauna Berry, Miss Grant, Miss Page, and all of the people who are just putting in all the work behind the screens to really make this work. So again, everyone, my name is Ayema, and I'm honored to serve as your keynote here for today, where the conversation is about advocacy. My personal story, I'm the youngest of four, as said previously. And what that means is that being the youngest, your voice also sometimes can't be heard because the eldest is taking the attention and the middle child might be reaching out to the parents stronger than the youngest does. And because I'm so young and everyone else has their own individual things that they're focused on with having two parents, it's hard to reach out and to get the attention that's needed, and to have a voice that's as strong and as deeply rooted to make decisions that might impact myself or even the position of my family. So what did that mean? Going into middle school, as I navigated that, I faced what is called an identity crisis, right? And many of you might have a similar experience or know what that may look like. Not knowing who I wanted to be, right? Was it a leader? Was it a follower? Was it someone who just wanted to be in my books? Or was it someone who was meant to stand out? I've been doing many community organizations and community events, and I learned along the way that ended up being my passion. Connecting with people and helping others see that they are just as important as the next person. And going into high school, that followed me. I very happily joined the Principal's Action Council my sophomore year. And from there, advocacy was the beginning, right? Getting in touch with that school community, being in the 3D Scholars Program, there's so much pressure. There's so much need for expectations and overachieving and excelling that sometimes it's hard for someone to just reach out and say, hey, I need help. Or, hey, this is where I am, because they're so used to you being one thing. And that's where advocacy came in. And my passion for advocating for such a thing was because I realized that oftentimes my peers and I struggle with so much more than just school. As young people, we face so much more. And that's why advocacy is so important, and it became a passion. So to start off, I just want to let everybody know that it begins with advocacy. This conversation could not be more important, because as it stands right now, advocacy brings a sense of identity, purpose, and it fuels passion. Going through my high school career, I went through something where a very close leader of mine was taken away. He was placed on administrative leave, which meant that the vision for our school community and the connection and the bonds that we had started to weaken and deteriorate. But what did that mean? For the people who made that decision to take such a strong piece and pillar of our community away, they didn't know what that did to the young people like me who looked up to such a leader, right? Who went inside the classrooms and walked in the hallways and found the people who were skipping class and took the time to sit with them and understand, meet them where they are, right? And so what that meant was I had to take that pain and turn it into power. And that is what advocacy is about. Advocacy gave me the identity that I needed to speak up and speak out and reach out to people who were in power to make decisions that impacted my community. But that's not the only thing that I faced, because going through that time without a leader and without someone to help guide me, I faced mental problems as well. And we all know what the COVID-19 pandemic did, right? Sometimes when I was on school, virtual school, not knowing if when I get out of my class and I go into the living room and I see CNN, right, or see news, right, being able to see those numbers just go up every single day, wondering, am I going to be next? Wondering, am I going to be able to meet these classmates of mine face to face one day? Those were some of the things that we had to battle as young people, because the pandemic, granted, was hard for everyone, and each person faced their own individual thing in the pandemic. What I faced was isolation. And this all ties back into advocacy, because mental health is a big factor in today's society. And amongst us, the youth, where we face things like depression, anxiety, negative ideations, childhood poverty, trauma, burnout, and lack of vision of hope. We as a collective need to do our research to know how to vote for what's not explicitly on the ballot. This is not just a vote for today and tomorrow, but it's a vote for right now. We're the leaders of today, but we're also the leaders of tomorrow. So what is this vote in November going to do to shape our environments and our communities, both today and tomorrow? And this is how we get involved. We have to amplify our voice. Now, how do you do that? It starts with involvement. Get involved in your youth groups, your school community, your church groups, or even more. There are plenty of opportunities all around that will help enrich your character. And as you sow a seed into your community, you will reap it back many times over in opportunities never seen before, right? School community, there are things like Student Government Association. There are things like the Principals Action Council, which was the first of its kind in Prince George's County, gorgeous Prince George's, right? In that school community, we impacted so many. It gives you that sense of purpose. It gives you that sense of identity, where when you see someone who isn't doing the best that they can, someone who may be dropping their grades because they're overwhelmed, as a leader, as someone who cares about their community, as someone whose voice is amplified, you can reach out to that person and say, hey, what are you going through? What is stopping you from being able to connect with the school and the resources that you need to excel? And when you meet your peers where they are, we are able to reach out to the adults. We are able to reach out to the leaders and the people who are making those rules and making those laws to say, hey, this is something that's important. Another way that we amplify our voice is through relationships. There are three main categories that we should all be cognizant of trying to build more and more in. The first one is mentor. Mentorship is so critical for each and every single one of us, especially as a youth. I went through so much during the pandemic, and facing that isolation and those negative ideations, that anxiety, that trauma, that burnout, just wanting to give up, I needed a mentor. And that does not take away from a trusted adult, from a parent, from a guardian, but the truth is, learning never stops. And learning changes when you reach out to different perspectives. It empowers you and it bolsters up your scaffolding to be able to see things at a different angle. Now that's the first category. The second category is a mentee. It is so important for us to also give back and to mentor others as we have been mentored. As it's been given to us, we should give unto others. Maya Angelou said, when you learn, you teach. Your experiences matter wherever you are, whatever level you are. One thing that I had to learn, a very, very core principle that helped me understand the difference between the bridge in our communities was that everyone has a problem that's equally as important. When a newborn baby first comes out of the womb and they're trying to walk, if anyone has ever seen a newborn baby trying to get on their feet, they start on their stomach, they crawl at first, they get onto their bum, and when they stand up, they're so sure they've done it until they fall. And they get up again until they fall. And sooner or later, that same newborn will cry and cry and cry like the world has just ended. Their bottle taken away, they'll cry like the 31st is hit. And the first is on the approach, right? Like they just lost their car or they've just been laid off. But each and every single one of these problems that we might face, like an exam coming up that we have to cram and study for, like a 90% that we're scared could turn into an 89 and is a B on our report card that should have been an A. Each and every single one of these problems and these issues that we face are all seen at the same level of importance to us. And that's why our experience matters. Because when we reach out to someone that's coming up beneath us and behind us, as we look behind and pull them up further, it helps the community grow. Now, the third and final category of a relationship that we need to build is a peer. I have peers on this call today that have reached out to me and that have strengthened me and empowered me to say, hey, you got this. Now, even as someone who has a passion for connecting and speaking to others, it's hard because anxiety can creep in. And knowing if I can empower the other person listening can kick in. That's something that I face. But being someone who has a community around me and someone says, hey, you'll be okay, you got this, you've prepared, that is the core principle of iron sharpening iron. So it is very important to, one, get a mentor, two, find someone to mentee, grab a mentee, and to three, have a peer. Now, as this time comes up in November, in a couple days, right, less than 3 weeks, there's a very, very important election coming. Make no mistake, we've already identified that this is not a vote for today, but it is a vote for tomorrow. The leaders that you will see and encounter on this call, granted, they cannot vote, but these are going to be the leaders who will cultivate a new world. Former President Obama said, people don't expect government to solve all of their problems, but But with a slight change in priorities, we can make sure that every child in America has a decent shot at life. He offered that in 2004. He didn't say that with a slight change in priorities, everyone will be great, or we'll try our best, but a decent shot at life to equal the playing field and give everyone a shot at equality and equity. What are we doing 20 whole years later to help foster and cultivate an environment where we can do just that? Where our young people don't have to feel that they can't reach out to someone else that's older than them, or reach out to someone and feel that their voice will be heard. Advocacy is so much more than just a vote. Advocacy is what fuels each and every single one of us. It lies within each and every single one of us. We all have that spirit inside of us. And today, I employ each and every one of them to do the research that matters. Mental health is important. 988 is a lifeline and a hotline that can save our youth. When they feel that they can't connect to others, they can call that line. They can text that line. We're using geolocation to make sure that someone in Arizona and California isn't reaching out to you to say, how can I help? But someone from your very county experiencing the same things that you go through can reach out to you and meet you where you are. This election is about going forward. We are not going back. Thank you everyone for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this summit. Take care.
Wow. 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 I'd like you to come back, turn your camera back on, Ayema. I just want to say what a way to kick off a very important discussion. I am mesmerized by your words, but I am mesmerized by you. At 17 years old, you have seeped into our soul, our spirit, to let us know what counts and what matters, even beyond the election. So I applaud you. I'd like for you to stay on and kick off our first discussion on safety.